All right, today we're going to take a look at decimal operations. So how do we add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals? And then we'll look at a couple application problems at the end there. So let's jump right in. Okay, anytime we are adding or subtracting decimals, when we set it up, we want to make sure we are lining up the decimal point. Okay, so for example, on number 1, 3.5 plus 8.7, we're going to line up the decimal point and we're going to drop it straight down in our answer. And then we just kind of do our standard work. So 5 plus 7 is 12. Going to carry the 1. 3 plus 8 is 11, plus that 1 gives me 12. So 12.2 is our final answer there. For number 2, 12.09 minus 5.2. So 12.09, 5.2, and then we could put a 0 there as a placeholder. Okay, we're going to line up our decimals and then drop it straight down. So let's see, 9 minus 0 is 9. We can't do 0 minus 2, we're going to have to borrow. So we're going to borrow 1 here, make that 10 minus 2, which is 8. Okay, again, we can't do 11. Well, 1 minus 5 can't do, so we're going to borrow, make that 11. 11 minus 5 is going to be 6, so 6.89. For number 3, 16 minus negative 9.1. So remember, anytime we say that minus word, we can KFC. And this one, we have to KFC. So 16 minus negative 9.1 becomes 16 plus positive 9.1. Okay, so when we line those up, we're going to put 16.0 plus 9.1, making sure we line up our decimal points, drop our decimal point straight down. 0 plus 1 is 1. 6 plus 9 is 15. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, so 25.1. All right, the other thing we got to make sure when we're adding up these decimals is make sure we're paying attention to our integer rules. So for number 4, negative 11.65 plus negative 2.1. Okay, so we have negative and more negatives. So these guys are on the same team, so we're going to add them up. We're going to combine their scores. Okay, so 11.65, 2.1, and then we can add the 0 there as a placeholder. We're going to add those up. Since they're on the same team, right? They're both on the negative team, so we're going to add them up. So 5, 7, drop our decimal straight down. 2 plus 1 is 3. And then 1 plus 0 is 0, so 13.75. Okay, and then since these guys are on the negative team, our final answer is going to be negative. Like 11 negatives and 2 more negatives gives us 13 more negatives there, so our answer needs to be negative. All right, number 5, 5.35 minus 8.1. Again, there's that minus word, so we're going to change this, KFC. So 5.35, flip subtraction to addition, change 8.1 to negative 8.1. Okay, so subtracting 8.1 is like adding negative 8.1. Now let's look at these numbers here. We've got a positive 5.35. We've got a negative 8.1. These guys are on opposite teams. So which team's winning here? Do we have more positives or negatives? So in this case, the negative team is winning. So I'm going to put that down there as a reminder that our answer needs to be negative. And then we're just trying to figure out how much are they winning by. So that becomes a subtraction problem. So 8.1, 5.35. Make sure we line up our decimal points there. I'm going to fill in the 0. And we're going to subtract here. All right, we got to do a little bit of borrowing. We can't do 0 minus 5, but 10 minus 5 is 5. We can't do 0 minus 3, so we're going to have to borrow again. 10 minus 3 is 7. Drop our decimal straight down. And then 7 minus 5 is 2. Okay, and then since the negative team is winning, our final answer needs to be a negative. The negative team is winning by 2.75. Okay, so again, our integer rules, our integer thinking is coming into play here when we're working with these decimals. All right, next section here, we are going to work on multiplication and division. So for number 6, I need to multiply 3.5 times 15. So let's go ahead and set that up. So 3.5 times 15. So let's just go through and do our kind of standard algorithm here. 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Okay, drop our 0 for our next line. 3 times 5 is 15, carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Okay, we're going to add these up to get 525. And then to figure out where our decimal goes, we got to look at our original problem. So in our original problem, we have one decimal point and our factors up there. So we need to move our decimal over one time. So we need one decimal point in our answer. So 52.5 is going to be our final answer there. All right, number 7, 5.45 times 3.7, and it's a negative 5.45. Okay, so a negative times a positive means we know our final answer is going to be negative. I'm going to write that down there right away. All right, let's set this up. 5.45, 3.7. Okay, we don't have to worry about lining our decimal points up here. We're going to just move everything over to the right. So it's lined up on the right there because we'll just figure out our decimal points at the end from our original problem. All right, so let's multiply here. 7 times 5 is 35. Carry the 3. 7 times 4 is 28. Plus 3 is 31. 7 times 5 is 35. Plus 3 is 38. Okay, let's drop a 0 down before we do our next line. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. So carry the 1. 3 times 5 is 15. Plus that 1 is 16. Okay, let's add these up. So 5, 6, 1, 0, carry the 1 there. Good, so 20165. Now let's look at our original problem. We've got 1, 2, 3 decimal points, right? 1, 2, 3 decimal points in our original problem. So starting from the right here, we need to go 1, 2, 3 decimal points over. Okay, so our final answer here is going to be negative 20.165. All right, number 8, we're doing negative 1.8 times negative 21. A negative times a negative makes it a positive. So then we're just going to do our little algorithm here. All right, let's see what we're working with. So we're doing 1.8 times 2.1. So 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. And then we're going to drop a 0 there. 2 times 8 is 16. Make sure we carry there. 2 times 1 is 2, plus that 1 is 3. So add those up. 3, 7, 8. Then let's look at our original problem. We've got one decimal point in our original problem, so we need one decimal point in our answer there. So we're looking at positive 37.8. All right, let's look at a couple division here. So for number 9, 241. So the first number is going to go inside the box, 241.8. And then the second number goes on the outside. Okay, and then we want to make sure this number on the outside doesn't have any decimals in it. So in this case, we're good. It doesn't have any decimals. All right, so now we can kind of do our algorithm here. We're going to bring our decimal point straight up. 26 does not go into 24. 26 goes into 241 9 times. So 9 times 26 gives me 234. Okay, we're going to subtract there. So let's see, what do we get when we subtract? I'm subtracting and getting 7, and then we're going to drop down this 8. 26 goes into 78 3 times. 3 times 26 is 78. We subtract, get no remainder, we're done. All right, so we're looking at a final of 9.3. All right, number 10, negative 130.5 divided by 7.25. A negative divided by a positive means my answer is going to be negative, so I'm just going to write that down there as a reminder. All right, 130.5 goes in the box. 7.25 on the outside. All right, so we've got to do a little bit of work here. This number out front needs to be a whole number to make it our thinking a little bit easier. We're going to move our decimal 2 spots to the right to make it 725. Then we got to do the same move on the inside, 2 spots to the right. So put our decimal there, add a 0. So really, if we want to rewrite this problem, we're doing 1,000 or 13,050 divided by 725. All right, so let's bring our decimal straight up. 725 goes into 1,305 one time. 1 times 725 is that. So we're going to subtract. All right, when we subtract there, you should get 580. I'm going to bring down the 0 there. 725 goes into 580, I believe 8 times. So let's check that. 725. 8 times 5 is 40. Carry the 4. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus that 4 is 20. Carry the 2. 8 times 7 is 56. Plus 2 is 58. Good. And we subtract. You get no remainder. So we are done there. So final answer there should be a negative 18. All right, so just a quick refresher there on our multiplying and division rules as well. All right, let's look at a couple of application problems. Number 11, the mass of a jar of sugar is 3.9 kilograms. What is the total mass of 8 jars of sugar? So we're looking to set up a multiplication problem there. 3.9 times 8. Let's see, so 8 times 9 is 72. 3 times 8 is 24, plus that 7 is 31. Okay, let's add. Well, there's nothing really to add up, but let's figure out our decimal point here. So in our original problem, we've got 1 decimal. So we got to move our decimal 1 point to the left there. So it should be 31.2 kilograms total. All right, number 12 says find the area of the triangle below. So we need to do 1/2 times base times height. So 1/2 base times height. Or you could do base times height divided by 2 if you want to. Okay, whichever you prefer. I'm going to do 1/2 base times height. So I'm going to do 1/2 12 times 8.3. Okay, so half of 12 is 6. So really all I have to do is 6 times 8.3. So let's set that one up. 8.3 times 6. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 6 times 8 is 48 plus 1, 49. I've got one decimal spot, so I need one decimal spot in my answer. So how about 49.8 square centimeters for our area there? All right, number 13, you want to buy the following items: a DVD player for $85.60, a DVD for $14.95, and headphones for $119.75. Do you have enough money to buy all three if you have 212 items? If not, how much more money do you need? All right, so let's go ahead and set up an addition problem here to figure out our total cost. So I'm going to set up an addition problem, and I'm going to line up all my decimals here. So drop our decimal straight down. Let's see, 0 plus 5 plus 5, that's 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. Plus 9 is 16. 16 plus another 7 would be 23. So carry the 2. 5 plus 4 plus 9. That's going to be 19 plus that 2 we carried is, 5 plus 4 plus 9 is 18 plus that 2 we carried is 20. So 0, carry the 2. 2 plus 8 is 10 plus 1 is 12. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. So we're looking at a total cost there of $220.30. So we do not have enough. Okay, to figure out how much more we need, we're going to have to do a subtraction problem. So take our total cost and subtract what we have. Okay, so 212.00, so our decimal points are lined up. 0 minus 0 is 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. Going to have to do a little borrowing here. So 10 minus 2 is 8. 1 minus 1 is 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. So we're looking at $8.30 that we still have to earn in order to have enough money. Number 14 says, find the perimeter of the rectangle below. So that means we have to find the distance around the outside of the shape. Okay, so we've got to basically add up all four sides. So 3.8 plus 3.8 plus 5.45 plus 5.45. Going to add them up, making sure we line our decimals. We can put zeros in there as placeholders. All right, so bring our decimal point straight down. 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry the 1. So let's see, we've got 8 plus 8 is 16. Plus 4 plus 4, that's 24. Plus 1 is 25. So carry the 2. And then in that last column there, 5 and 5 is 10. Plus 3 is 16. Plus that extra 2 is 18. So I'm getting a total perimeter there of 18.5 feet. All right, and then finally some number question problems here. Last two. Number 15 says, what is the distance between point E and point C on the number line? Okay, so actually point C, that should be a negative there since it's the left of 0. So let's just fill that in. All right, so if we want to find the distance between point E and point C, we're going to use subtraction here to find distance. Okay, we always do the larger number, so the greater value E minus the smaller number, negative 0.25 for part C. So 5.7 minus negative 0.25. We're going to KFC that one. 5.7 plus 0.25. So that turns into an addition problem. We're going to line up our decimal points there, fill in the extra zeros, and add them up. So 5, 9, drop our decimal straight down, and then 5. Okay, and then remember, distance should always be positive there. Okay, so make sure we're getting a positive answer for our final distance there. So it's about 5.95 units long. Okay. Last one, find the distance between point B and point A. So again, another subtraction problem. Negative 3.8, the larger number, minus the smaller number, minus negative 6.2. So we're going to KFC that one. Anytime we write a subtraction problem, we can KFC it into addition. It's going to become negative 3.8 plus positive 6.2. So these guys, we've got a negative and we've got a positive. So they're on opposite teams. Okay, so the positive team is winning. So we know our answer has to be positive. To figure out how much they're winning by, we're going to do a subtraction problem. So 6.2, the larger number goes on top. Subtract the 3.8. All right, drop our decimal point straight down. Okay, we're going to do some borrowing there. So 12 minus 8 is 4. 5 minus 3 is 2. So how about a positive 2.4 units away? Okay, so there we have it. Just some reminders on adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing decimals, and a couple quick application problems. Okay, feel free to add any reminders that you want to add to the top of your notes there that we talked about when we did these problems.